I've been in the energy business now for almost 30 years. I had 26 years with BP and 3.5 years with Scottish Resources Group. And Scottish Resources Group, the main operating company there was Scottish Coal, the UK's largest oil and gas mining group. So during my 26 years with BP, I ran large-scale oil and gas businesses both internationally and in the UK. I ran oil and gas fields in Alaska and Canada, and Houston, Texas and Kansas, as well as running UK North Sea business. I was also in two big corporate roles during the BP Amoco merger, which at the time was the world's largest industrial merger. I was part of the team putting the new company together, which was a fascinating experience. And I was also Chief of Staff for Tony Hayward when he was Chief Exec of BP Exploration and Production globally, which was a fantastic role, spending virtually a year and a half with Tony, travelling the globe with him, preparing him for meetings with heads of state, senior industrial leaders, and also sitting around the executive table for BP E&P in my role as Chief of Staff, sort of helping set the agenda about what was going to be discussed and being part of really big conversations in one of the world's largest companies. Scottish Resources Group, largest open cast miner in the UK, second largest coal producer, fantastic business with a great asset base. We used to run what we thought was Europe's largest heavy earth moving plant fleet to mine the coal that we had. When I was there, we were selling around about 4 million tonnes of coal a year, so big business. And there was also two other divisions under the group, which was a property business based on the land that we had, about 25,000 acres of land, post-coaling land, and also a renewable energy business as well. Well, I've obviously had 3.5 years running a large-scale coal business, so direct industry experience obviously in the coal space. But the 26 years with BP, I think, have relevance for strategic as well, in the sense of there's not a vast difference in the basic fundamentals between running an oil and gas field and running a coal mine. You've got to explore and find the resource, you've got to produce it in a safe and cost-efficient manner, you've got to process it, and then you've got to get it to market. And both are the same fundamental processes, although the techniques are different. Also, I've spent a lot of time running a production business, and this is the phase that Strategic's now moving into. And I would expect the experience that I've had there will be beneficial to the board and the company going forward. In terms of why did I choose to join Strategic, at this phase of my career, what I'm looking for is companies that have got big upside. So I don't plan to work for any one company. I'm going to spend about a third of my time with Strategic, but anything I do is going to have big upside potential. And I really believe that Strategic Natural Resources Group has tremendous upside potential. Initial impression, very impressed. Great resource base, 266 million tonnes of resources on 6% of our land. Fantastic routes to market, the infrastructure solutions of underutilised rail lines near our mining resource, two ports that are crying out for new business. We've got that sitting there. Differentiated South African political risk. We are very important to the Eastern Cape, which is the second largest province in South Africa, and also the second poorest province, I believe. And our project, we've been told by government officials, is one of the top 3 projects in the Eastern Cape. So very strong provincial and national political support for this business. And also 1,000 kilometres away from the recent unrest that people have seen in South Africa. So I think it's very important that we differentiate the South African political risk and look at the advantages this company has. Also, dual products, so anthracite market and thermal market can be targeted by this company, which is very good indeed. And also, we're just about an inflection point in the company's history, because very soon the first cargo will sail and will be a revenue generating company. Really exciting phase for the company right now. Great future ahead of it. Well, I think like most directors of most companies, I would obviously think it's undervalued. That's a typical view, I think, of any director. I think there's good reason for thinking that, actually. If you look at where we were when we originally listed at, what, 30p, it's now 27p, yet we've increased the underlying resource base significantly since then. We're weeks away from revenue. Huge upside potential, not only in growing the resource and developing and producing the resource in phases 1 to 4, but also huge opportunity in our phase 5 area, and also the likelihood of an independent power plant being built at the mine mouth further down the line creates lots of potential legs in the share price. I think SNR is a really compelling investment, primarily because of the resource base. When you look at 266 million tonnes of resources on only 6% of the land, and then extrapolate that, this is going to be a company that has potentially billion tonnes plus of coal. A reasonable man could make that deduction. So huge potential to make this from a small company and a very attractive medium to large size business in the context of South African mining companies. The unfettered access to infrastructure and ports is hugely distinctive compared to our competitors, and the product mix that we can achieve, the different markets that we can access, makes this really compelling. I think my primary focus is going to be London-based, actually, with the chief exec and the business over in South Africa, but the company being listed on the London market. I plan to give a lot of attention to the investment community, institutional investors, private client brokers, private investors, to really go out there and sell the story of SNR. Because with a share price where we are today, and the asset base that we've got and the potential that we've got, we really need people to understand the story, to encourage them to invest in something that offers huge potential upside. So a lot of my time is going to be spent doing that. I'll be an active board member, so I'm going to chair what we call the Commercial Investment Subcommittee with David and Gabriel Ruin, one of our other directors. And we'll take a real role in providing real commercial focus and challenge to the business decisions that SNR needs to make. And I also hope to provide a good sounding board for David as well, so that he can bounce things off me and hopefully take advantage of the longer years experience that I've got in the energy business. Thanks, Paul. I think the company is at an inflection point at the moment. We've spent many years being an exploration company. We're about to become a revenue generating production company, and we're about to enter on a very exciting growth phase. We're also doing this at a time where coal prices hopefully are pretty close to bottom of the cycle, which means if you're a bull on commodity prices, as I am, price upside is sitting there for shareholders, and will be very market responsive to price. And by that I mean the upside we will be able to keep a large proportion of, because the inflationary pressures in this industry in terms of where we're working are a lot less than, say, the oil industry, where I spent a lot of time with. In the oil industry, when price went up, service sector inflation very quickly ate away the superior returns that you were making as an oil company. In our business, and particularly in SNR, with our cost structure operating in an area of high unemployment, our infrastructure routes to market, there is very little competition out there. Therefore, we should be able to deliver competitive cost routes to market, meaning that when price upside comes along, we'll be able to keep a large proportion of that within the value of the company. So I think stick with this company. Huge resource base, great infrastructure, great markets, strong management team, a really exciting business to be involved with. I'm really pleased that I've joined it.
This film is for educational and leisure purposes only. Proactive Investors does not provide investment advice. The company is a publisher and is registered and authorised by the Financial Services Authority. Please refer to the full terms and conditions on the Proactive Investors website.